Fisher, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you. And now moving into tonight's meeting agenda, I'd like to note that this is a special meeting work session. Prior to tonight's meeting, we had an Education Committee meeting at 6 p.m. and we just concluded with our Distinguished Achievement Awards, which started at 7 p.m. In addition to reviewing our board folder tonight, we are scheduled to receive a Family and Consumer Science update from the administration. I'd like to note that the board will not be meeting in executive session after the meeting tonight. But for the record, I would like to note that the board met in executive session on April 4th to discuss personnel matters related to the superintendent search. As announced yesterday, the board has concluded the superintendent search and we have selected Dr. Scherrer as our final candidate. Because this will be our special voting item this evening, I'd like to ask if there are any members of the community who would like to address the board for up to 2 minutes on this voting item. Okay, if you can come to the podium and 2 minutes for your remarks. Mr. Caruso.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the board and the members of the audience present this evening. It's an honor for me to express my enthusiastic support for Dr. Scherrer for the position of superintendent in the district. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Scherrer as both a teacher at Nash and as department chairperson for English Language Arts. He is a strong, effective, and ethical leader who puts students at the center of his educational philosophy. He is adept at balancing the demands of a high-performing district like ours with the demands of students, parents, faculty, and staff. He has a clear vision of excellence for the district that goes beyond the microscopic attention to test scores, and he understands that education is multidimensional, complex, and oftentimes surprising. What strikes me most about Dr. Scherrer is his determined and effective leadership. He is open, honest, and always willing to speak to all of the stakeholders in a given situation. He rightfully has very high expectations for performance among the staff, and his expectations are clear. He promotes collaboration wherever possible, and his desire to sit down and explain different situations is truly refreshing. When the announcement of Dr. Scherrer's appointment was communicated, I was struck by the enthusiastic support expressed by my colleagues, my students, and members of my community. It is clear to me that Dr. Scherrer meets and exceeds the demands and expectations we have placed upon him, and I'm confident that he will be a model of stability for our district for years to come. I'm very excited to continue building upon the relationship we have established, and in closing, I applaud the board for their thoroughness in conducting the superintendent search and for putting the students of our district at the forefront of the selection process. It's clearly evident to me that Dr. Scherrer is the right person for the job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Caruso. Are there any other members of the audience who would like to address the board on this special voting item? Okay, seeing none, at this time I will read the resolution. This is the resolution for the appointment of District Superintendent Dr. Robert J. Scherrer. The school board respectfully recommends that Dr. Robert J. Scherrer be appointed as superintendent for the North Allegheny School District for a term of 5 years, commencing May 1st, 2016, at a yearly salary of $170,000, with no salary adjustment for the first 3 years of said contract. For the past 3 years, Dr. Scherrer has served as Assistant Superintendent of K-12 Education, and in December 2015 was appointed the Acting Superintendent of Schools for the North Allegheny School District. Previously, Dr. Scherrer served as a principal in the Pittsburgh Public School District, first as the principal of Alderdice High School, and then as the founding principal of the Pittsburgh Science and Technology Academy, a grades 6 through 12 magnet school focusing on STEM education. Dr. Scherrer received his Bachelor of Science degree in Business Education and Master's in Business Education from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He completed his Superintendent's Letter of Eligibility and his Doctorate of Education in Administrative and Policy Studies from the University of Pittsburgh. Dr. Scherrer's dissertation focused on teacher evaluation. Over the years, Dr. Scherrer has been an active member of numerous professional organizations and associations and has presented at a number of national, state, and regional conferences. He has also received professional awards, including the J.K. Couples Award for administrators who exemplify outstanding inclusive practices, the IUP Young Alumni Achievement Award, and a Pennsylvania PTSA Honorary Life Membership Award. Dr. Scherrer has proven himself to be a hardworking, knowledgeable, enthusiastic, and highly committed to student, staff, and the larger community of North Allegheny. We look forward to many years of strong leadership and the progress and success that the district is sure to experience. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion and a second from the board.
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Mahler, seconded by Mr. Finley. Before I open the item up for discussion and comments from other board members, I'd like to make a few remarks. First, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to our search firm, the Chester County Intermediate Unit from Downingtown, PA. The CCIU team was involved in every part of the board selection process, including recruiting candidates, collecting feedback from stakeholders, developing interview questions, observing candidate interviews, and helping negotiate the final contract. Through each phase of the process, the CCIU provided valuable resources for the board, and we benefited immensely from their experience and expertise. At this time, I'd like to ask Ian Strachan, Mary Curley, and Jackie Aris to stand up so that we can acknowledge them for their contributions to this very important decision.
Thank you. We
Thank
very
you.
much enjoyed working with the board.
I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our board secretary, Rosemary Ryan. She has worked tirelessly these past few months to ensure that everything went as smoothly as possible for board members. She was also the district point person for all of our focus groups, and she did an outstanding job reaching out to all of our stakeholders. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ryan. Another thank you goes out to our solicitors, Melo Rungo Melo, and specifically Mr. A. Melo, for his counsel and assistance in negotiating the final contract. Next, I'd like to take a few moments to talk about the selection process for the benefit of the community. As the board began the superintendent search, our goal was to select the best candidate for the North Allegheny School District. To accomplish this, the board conducted various rounds of interviews, and we probed candidates on a variety of different topics and issues. We were pleased with the strong pool of candidates who applied, and throughout each step of the process, we were committed to doing our due diligence in arriving at the very best candidate for the job. Dr. Scherrer emerged as the final candidate because he demonstrated the skills, the drive, and the vision that the board was looking for in our next leader. As many of you know, Dr. Scherrer also has a strong connection to the North Allegheny community. Perhaps the best example of this is the positive feedback we consistently receive from community members and parents. Just last week, I received an email via our board secretary, Mrs. Ryan, that captures Dr. Scherer's passion and commitment to this district. The email is from a parent, and I'd like to share a portion of it with you this evening. It reads, "After meeting Dr. Scherrer in December, and then again in February, I ran into him at Nash for their production of Cinderella. What joy I saw on his face as he was selling helium balloons, pink jeans, and a button-down shirt. I thought to myself, 90% of the people in this hall have no idea who he is. And isn't it wonderful that he is actively participating in our community with a smile on his face? I was impressed with the feeling that he really wanted to be there, wants to be part of this community. Special, the parent concludes. I wanted to share this story with you tonight because I think it illustrates the kind of leader we found in Dr. Scherrer. Committed, connected, and centered on the North Allegheny community. Lastly, I would like to congratulate Dr. Scherrer and the entire administrative team, which includes our executive council, our principals, and our assistant principals, many of whom are in attendance this evening. My congratulations are for the remarkable strides that we've made as a district over the last 10 months. During the time Dr. Scherrer has served as substitute and acting superintendent, we've embarked on many new initiatives. From the rollout of our one-to-one technology plan to the implementation of a brand new volunteer clearance policy. These successes could not have been achieved without a significant amount of teamwork and collaboration. All of you had to take on more responsibilities over the last year, and all of you gracefully stepped up to the plate. As a result, we can share a collective pride in the district's success during this interim period. I want to thank you all for your contributions, and at this time, I will open it up to other board members for comment. Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. My vote tonight is going to be based on several things. First, I feel that Dr. Scherrer is very wedded to quantitative measures. I believe there are other measures that should have greater weight besides an exam. North Allegheny has a history of educating the whole child. I want to tell everyone right now that there's a lot of learning that takes place after 3 p.m. While some people believe that academics are the most important thing, and it is to some students, other people believe extracurricular activities are the most important thing, and it is to them. Both things have to be meshed together equally, in my opinion. I'm against all of the exams that we take. I've been against the Keystone exams since before the state mandated them. Now the state and North Allegheny evaluates teachers in part based on their students' performance on these exams that I'm against. I believe our teachers are capable of teaching themselves, and we shouldn't mandate all of these exams. I also believe that valuable instruction time is taken away from our students when we give them these exams. It's detrimental to overall learning. While Dr. Scherrer considers quantitative data to be important, I'm a big believer in qualitative analysis. I believe that that's more important. I also have serious reservations about hiring someone with no experience as a superintendent. We had several applicants that fit my criteria who I believe were better prepared to manage a district like North Allegheny. It makes me uneasy that we're hiring a person for one of the largest districts in the state that has never been a superintendent. That being said, I'm 100% committed to North Allegheny and will support the outcome that I know we have this evening. And I will support everything moving forward. And I do want to move NA forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Blackburn. Any other questions or comments from board members on this item? Mr. Finley.
I'm usually the quiet one, but I did want to say first and foremost, congratulations to Dr. Scherrer, and I'm very happy for him and his family. Also happy, I did not know that they were going to be here tonight, but I'm happy to see the CCIU team here tonight, and just wanted to thank them really for their professionalism during this process, and it really was a process. They just did such a fantastic job, and I could not have asked for a better team to work with. Couldn't have been happier with their leadership. Like I said, it was a process, and this district is just so special that there was a lot of talent that was attracted from various locations. I'm really happy that we were able to secure such a top-rate candidate and really just a true gentleman in Dr. Scherrer. And can say that these are very exciting times in North Allegheny, obviously, and I'm really
Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Scherrer and welcome his family and say thank you. I'm sure it was a long process for you as well. I would too like to thank Ian and his team. I can't express to you the professionalism you guys brought to the table. A lot. It's not like you were driving from downtown Pittsburgh to get here either. You made a lot of trips here and you showed a lot of true professionalism throughout this process. I want to echo some of the thoughts. I'm not going to speak to some of the thoughts that Mr. Finley and Mrs. Fisher said, but I had the pleasure of, sometimes it's not the pleasure of serving as the board report for North Allegheny Foundation, and it requires a meeting monthly. And throughout this process, I'm sure the public is well aware of this, we've had some challenges, to say the least. And with the transition from Dr. Gualtieri leaving and the foundation, we're having some challenges here. Dr. Scherrer stepped right in, seamless process, moved this along, tremendous diplomacy in a challenging situation. We were making decisions as a group to hire someone to be a paid executive, which I'm proud to say, hopefully soon, maybe next week, we can announce that this person's going to come on board and hopefully lead the foundation into greater heights as well. But to sit with him on those Tuesday nights and watch him handle this process and lead it, and keep in mind, Dr. Gualtieri was the executive director, and Dr. Scherrer had never been to a meeting in his whole career. So he stepped in with no background, and he took the process and led it straight forward, and was a great contributing factor. And I have no doubt in my mind that he can jump into anything here within this district and lead it with tremendous passion and knowledge. And the last thing, and I'm a big family guy too, I think everybody on this board knows, I talk about my family a lot. My wife travels for business, and I like to be there for my children, and the fact that Dr. Scherrer has children invested in this district, I know he's invested in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Ms. Filiaggi.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. I would echo also the comments that you made and others about the seamless process that we went through, thanks to the CCIU team and Mrs. Rosemary Ryan. It was exhaustive, but seamless, and so I thank you for that. But ultimately, this moment does belong to Dr. Scherrer and to North Allegheny. Obviously, North Allegheny had the luxury of attracting well-qualified candidates for this position. Dr. Scherrer distinguished himself from me in these ways. He is committed personally as well as professionally. He's invested in our community, my lifelong community. That was essential. He has a vision that is clearly articulated. It's an inspiring vision. He has every intention of taking North Allegheny to even greater heights, if you can imagine that. And third, he has a keen sense of accountability. He owns his opinions and work ethic standards. It's admirable. I, too, look forward to working with Dr. Scherrer to achieve our common goal of moving the district forward. Thank you, Dr. Scherrer.
I know that Mr. Russell submitted some remarks and has asked Mr. Disk to read them on his behalf, so I'm going to now turn over to Mr. Disk to read those remarks and add anything else that he would like to share.
So speaking for Mr. Russell, again, his voice. My wife Eileen and I have
You need to get past that opening part.
My wife Eileen and I have lived in the district for nearly 20 years, and we have been deeply involved with the school system for quite some time. Eileen has served as the president of HOSAC's PFA several times and is currently serving as the band patron's executive vice president. We have 4 children in the district across different schools and are involved with athletics and the arts. We have met and made many friends in the district. I was asked by a parent, why are you doing a superintendent search when you have the right person running the district right now? I responded, as a board, we need to do what's best for the district, and that is seeking the best candidates, thoroughly vetting them, and selecting the best candidate to lead the district. We need to be transparent with the community and need to perform due diligence. This is the most important decision that a school board will make. While the parent acknowledged that, the comment back to me was that Dr. Scherrer is smart, truly cares, and interacts very well with the parents and community. Since Eileen was with me and has had the opportunity to work with past superintendents and assistant superintendents, I asked her about the parents' question and response. She was quick to point out that parents loved Dr. Stropke and Frank Breschneider because they had excellent interpersonal skills. They were genuinely interested in what you had to say, listened to you, and acted upon what they committed to you. She said that Dr. Scherrer is like them. That's why the parent asked you why you were doing a search. Over the past few years, it has been clear that this parent is right. When the district has a big initiative, Dr. Scherrer was put in front of the parents and community. Who led the redistricting effort, Focus 2020, and volunteer initiatives? Dr. Scherrer did, and he made a very favorable impression on the public as he implemented these sensitive and at times controversial issues. Furthermore, as the substitute or acting superintendent, he has demonstrated the leadership and management qualities necessary to lead the district through financial challenges while maintaining the North Allegheny's prestige. That is why I support Dr. Scherrer. So,
Scott Russell has approved his message. Break that first sentence for the record there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Russell.
To piggyback on Dr. Russell's comments, I've had a chance to get a bit of a firsthand feedback on Dr. Scherrer. My wife is also the People's PTA president, and she has, without bringing up any stories, I mean, Mr. Russell's wife has almost verbatim stories. My wife has verbatim stories about the similar experiences. The impression that she has is that Dr. Scherrer is completely committed to leading this district at all levels of the organization. The PTA presidents are on the front line with many of the parents in the district. They lead the smallest of efforts that are just the foundation that the district is built on, and the way that her interactions have gone with Dr. Scherrer, she has nothing but confidence in his leadership. So I'll base my opinion on hers. Congratulate Dr. Scherrer. We're happy to have you.
Okay, Mr. McClure.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Miller and I were trying to decide who goes next because I don't think any of us are going to let this opportunity to pass. This process has been a big part of our lives for the past couple or 3 months, I suppose. And when I stood up here back in September or so and was first interviewed by the board to become a board member, I was asked what is the most important thing what's our biggest issue? And I said, selecting a new superintendent is that #1 issue. And so we've spent a lot of time. Really want to thank, as everyone else has, the CCIU has been awesome. This has been such a wonderful, structured process. It was very well done. I can't imagine them making the trip as often as they have. It's got to be close to 10 times back and forth from Philadelphia to here. So thank you very much for that. And honestly, I really searched through each of the resumes and looked at all of these candidates and truly gave this. It's a very easy decision. We all were very comfortable that Bob is an awesome guy, and it's a very easy decision for us to just say, okay, let's just hand the reins over. But to truly look at these wonderful candidates we got, and we had a really nice selection of people who stepped up for this, to really review them, to interview them, and to truly understand, and then also listen to the community, see what we're hearing from everyone, and to know Bob and to see him. I made some notes here. about the commitment, but the comment about selling balloons at the play, that kind of commitment, that kind of visibility and accessibility is really huge in my decision. And I'm really looking forward to working with Bob, and I think he's going to be a real asset, and I enthusiastically support him.
Thank you very much, Mr. McClure. Mr. Muller, your last man standing.
And for anyone who's heard me speak before, this will seem strange, but I don't think there's a lot left for me to say. But I do believe this is a great day for NA, so I'd just like to take a moment to recognize a number of people. First, I want to thank the CCIU team for helping us find a highly qualified group of candidates and for guiding us through this rigorous process with patience and good humor. I also want to thank all the candidates who expressed an interest in North Allegheny. Next, I want to thank everyone who participated in the search process, particularly those who made their voices heard through our focus groups. Your input played an important role in our deliberations. In particular, I want to thank the central office team and everyone else who has helped move the district forward while we've been short-staffed. Clearly, Dr. Scherrer played a key role on that team, so I particularly want to thank him for handling his interim duties with grace, dedication, and skill. And finally, I want to turn away from the past and look to the future by congratulating Dr. Scherrer. I'm confident that he will be an excellent superintendent, and personally look forward to working with him during the rest of my time on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahler. The item has been moved and seconded, and so I will now call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Scherrer. Vote is official. Before we break for a short recess so that you all have the opportunity to congratulate Dr. Scherrer in person, we would like to give him a very special gift. To help commemorate this past year, we ask all of our administrators to place their fingerprint on a banner that represents the leadership of the North Allegheny School District for the year 2016. Not only does the banner represent the many people who had a hand in the district's success this past year, it's a reminder that we are all connected in our leadership of the district. It illustrates that leadership is not about a person or a position. It's about teamwork and collaboration around the common goal of preparing all students for success in a changing world. So instead of congratulating Dr. Scherrer tonight with a traditional card full of signatures, we'd like to present him with this North Allegheny Banner of Leadership to help commemorate how far we've come through collaboration and help celebrate where we are headed as a team. Thank you.
If I could just have 30 seconds. I have to be honest with you, it's probably one of the most awkward moments of my life. This conversation's going off, I'm not going to lie. But I'm truly touched. I'm truly touched by the comments of board members here this evening. And I'll get your vote someday, Libby. We'll get But I'm truly appreciative of this community. This is a very special school district. I've known that since the day I stepped into it, started to meet the staff that we have, the students that we have, the families that we have. I mean, it's an absolute honor to be in this position. And as it was alluded to earlier, I felt so strongly about my short time here in the district, that I was able to convince my wife and my family to leave the South Hills, where we lived our entire life. My wife and I will be married 20 years next month, and we'd only ever known the South Hills as a home. So when I came here, I said, Jen, this place is special. This is where we want our kids to go. And it took some convincing, and maybe a little bit of crying on her part, I don't know. But We have never regretted that decision to this day, and it's been one of the best life decisions that we have absolutely ever made. And so, I can't thank everybody enough in this room. I'm looking around, so many people that I've met over these last 3 years that we've worked, many long hours with some folks here, and but I do want to just take a moment publicly and thank my family. You don't get many opportunities to do that in life, and when you're an administrator, you work a lot of long hours, you work a lot of long nights, and you're away from your family. My wife's been phenomenal throughout this journey. My kids are great. I promised my daughter I wouldn't embarrass her. I think I just did. So, Jen, Olivia, Max, thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you for being a part of the NA family. It's truly, truly a special place to be, and I really do look forward to what we're able to accomplish in the coming years. And thank you for your very kind comments tonight. Thank you.
Before we break for our recess, I'd just like to remind members of the Executive Council, the principals and assistant principals who are in attendance, we'd like you to come forward because we're going to have a few photos with Dr. Scherrer during that brief recess. So at this point in time, we will break and we will reconvene in about 15 minutes.